that his father had gotten him for his birthday, where you got points for shooting people in the head. And so you can say, well, that's, an isolated case, but Dave Grossman wrote a book, Lieutenant Colonel Dave Grossman. He taught a new science at West Point called Killology, which is the psychology of killing. And he's written several books now. I mean, this is one of the foremost researchers in that field. He's written several books, Stop Teaching Our Children to Kill, because what he shows is all of this technology was developed by the military to desensitize people into being able to kill other people, and this stuff has trickled down into mainstream. And yet we say, well, freedom of speech. Everybody has a right to produce what they do. This is having an effect. We have the problems in pornography as well. The number one downloading that's going on the internet is pornography in the United States. There's more porn being downloaded than any other thing on the internet. What type of young people is that going to do? What's going to happen to these young people that are 15 years old and instead of like 30 years ago being exposed to a Playboy or something like that, they're exposed to live pornography online, and they have access to that. What's that going to do? In Princeton, they had a conference that I was part of on pornography, and they had a neuroscientist there saying that based on their studies, people that become addicted to pornography, their minds get rewired. The neuroplasticity of the brain actually results in complete changes. So we've got people out there that literally that have different brain connectivity than normal people because they've been watching very powerful visual stimulus over long periods of time. So a lot of this technology, we don't know the types of harm that these technologies are causing. My own teacher, Sheikh Abdullah bin Bayya, when he came to the West, he noticed all these people walking around with headphones, and he said that's a really bad sign because they're in their own world. And he said, we live in a shared world, and it's important for us to be together. I mean, he's from West Africa, where this idea of disappearing into your own world is not a normal thing. And yet we see that in Berkeley, on the Berkeley campus.
Well, Hamza will answer this question, but I would just like to say that I had a really interesting conversation with Sheikh Salek about this, and I think that when it comes down to teaching Quran, the key factor really is the teacher, a teacher that really loves the Quran and loves to teach it, and especially to children, because I think that's a unique skill in itself. And he told me a lot of people, especially people outside our area that don't have access to good teachers, are having their children learn Quran through multimedia, and that concerned me, and I asked him about that, and he said learning Quran is not mandatory. He absolutely disagreed with people making learning the Quran a priority over loving the Quran. He just said that's so much more important, and and I said to him, so if a child can't study, and say until they're a teenager, if they can't find a teacher until then, is it better to just wait? And he said, yeah, absolutely, because the last thing you want to do is to hurt that child's love of the Quran. That is a priority.
That's a good answer.
Thank you.
Go ahead. Well,